Welcome back to the TackleShare YouTube channel. I'm Alicia, and it can always be very challenging trying to travel with your fishing rods. There's always a risk of damage. So in this video, we're going to show you an easy DIY how to make your very own rod tube made from materials you can find at the hardware store. You should be able to fit 3, maybe 4 of your standard 2-piece spinning rods in one of these tubes. Let's get to it. The materials you're going to need to start off your rod tube, I went and got I started with a 3-inch diameter ABS pipe because I have a spinning rod that I want to put in this tube. If you have a fly rod or other rods, their guides are smaller, but I needed a 3-inch diameter, and they come in 1-foot sections, so I got 48 inches, knowing that I was going to have to cut it down quite a bit. I also got an end cap for a 3-inch diameter ABS pipe and a 3-inch female adapter hub, as well as a threaded male plug that's going to go into that to help seal off my rod tube. Then you're going to need some ABS cement, as well as the safety equipment, the gloves, a rag, measuring tape, masking tape, a marker, a permanent marker, as well as some glue, a pair of scissors, and some foam that you're going to be using to put in the end caps to keep your rod from bouncing around. Alright, those are the basics you need to get your rod tube, and let's get started. A rod generally about, 40.5 inches long, because that's the longest part. Of course, you want to check to make sure that they're either equal or the other one's shorter than that, which it is. So the longest part of my 2-piece rod is 40.5 inches. So I'm going to make sure that my ABS pipe is just larger than that. And you can see it's obviously, it's already 43 inches, which I cut down before I did this, and now I'm realizing I want to cut it down a little bit more. So I can put some tape on here so I can see exactly where I'm putting my mark on here. I'm going to cut it down to right about here, which is 41.5. It gives me a little bit extra wiggle room for the foam. So I'm going to do that. I've marked it on there. I'm going to cut it down. I'm going to pop outside using my chop saw, and I'll be right back. So I just popped outside and trimmed that down. You can see on my saw actually cuts it very, very nicely. If it was a rougher cut saw and you had burrs on there, I'd suggest using sandpaper, but I didn't have that, so I don't need to do that. Now you can see the actual portion of the tube is the length of my rod. Now I'm going to go through and cut out some foam for the end pieces. Alright, so now for cutting the foam for the 2 end pieces of my rod tube, of course, I want one that's the inside diameter of this end cap, which is about 3 inches. I just went outside and cut my 3-inch tube, so I now have this convenient, nice little tracer here for me. Just going to use my permanent marker, tracer on the outside, and that is the measurement for my end cap foam. And now I need to get the trace amount for the inside of this male insert, and I can see that it's probably going to be similar to the inside of this circle. So I'm going to do the inside tube here, and now I'm going to go ahead and cut those out. Alright, now I have my 2 foam inserts for those pieces. I have the end cap here, and of course trying to test my fit, and it works just nicely. And as well for this one, pop it right in there. Now this one I did think the profile was too high, so I did trim it down a little bit, and that's my own choice. And if you don't have this type of foam, you can also use craft foam. You may have to use a couple layers. It doesn't have to be this pronounced. You just want to have a soft cushion on the end cap, so if your rod's moving around, it's not smashing into the ends. Now before I glue those into place, I'm going to want to check to make sure to do a dry fit of my rod tube. So I have obviously my ABS pipe that's already been cut. I'm going to insert this in here, and I know that it's going to compress, and I'm not worried about that foam because I know it's going to compress enough to make sure that it's going to do its job. The same thing here, I'm going to put on the female hub. Make sure it's nice into place. And measure to make sure my rod fits in nicely. All the way down. Perfect. Fits in there just like that. And now I'm going to take and insert the male insert portion just to make sure that obviously the rod's in there and it's not moving around too much. Awesome, there we go. So now I know that everything is the right measurement. I'm happy with it. Now I'm just going to remove these to take them off to actually glue them securely with the ABS cement. Now they do fit fairly tightly, and I will highly advise that if you're going to be taking them apart, you have like a hammer or something to kind of encourage the fittings off so that you can glue them in place properly. So I'm happy with how those fit. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue them into place. Just like that. So I have my rag, and of course I'm going to be putting on my gloves. You want to make sure, of course, you read the safety instructions on the cement first. And you're just going to take end cap on now. That, and when you're putting it on, you're giving it a couple turns to help it really adhere, just like that. And of course, I'm going to wipe off any of that excess glue just because it's a bit unsightly. And then we're going to do the exact same thing for the female hub. Basically in place there. We're going to give that a wipe as well to not see the glue peeking through. And there we go. Now you have your finished rod tube, watertight, and ready to go. All right, well that's all there was to making your very own rod tube to protect 3, maybe even 4 standard 2-piece spinning rods, depending on their size. Of course, this was basically designed to be popped in and out of vehicles. It's not really in the mode for carrying by hand. So if you want, you can always add some additions to it by maybe adding some rope to put a sling, put it over your shoulder, or some other attachments so you can be able to fasten it to the side of your canoe. Don't be afraid to make it your own. And if you made it this far in the video, make sure you hit like and subscribe to our channel so we can keep more fishing content coming your way. See you next time.